All right. How are you guys doing? All right. All right. So let's get this party going so we can go get the next party going, right? All right. So, oh, that's really dark. There we go. We're all put it. The thing on there said something about could save something. Like I went to click it and then it said can't save previous something. Okay. All right.
Yeah. I can't dim. I mean, turn them.
Oh. You want the clicker? You could just keep going. No, I'm good. I'm good. All right. So I haven't been to this conference since like 2017. So I may have seen some of you guys, maybe not some of the newer ones. So my name's Andrea with a bunch of last names. I'll let you guys figure it out. I'm here today to talk to you a quick 30-minute, 25-minute. If you pay me stuff and give me gift cards to Dutch Brothers, we could be out of here in 15. So I'm just joking. So what we're going to talk about is, and Dutch Brothers, I'm 100% Dutch, and today was the first time I went to Dutch Brothers. I thought that was pretty cool. No, I didn't think so, but anyway. All right, so we're going to talk about a quick trauma assessment, kind of a thing that I went through at work, and it's basically trauma and medical all kind of thrown together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present to you kind of what the call was, what it looked like, what we did, what we went through. Now, I'm not going to give you the black and white, what should have been done. I want you guys just to think about what you would have done. What steps would you have done? Because as we know in EMS, is it black and white or is there a lot of gray? There's a lot of gray, right? I mean, we're naive in school when we have the textbook in front of us, right? And we're like, oh, this is exactly what it's going to be. And then we go on that first call and you go, oh boy, right? You're not hitting all these signs and symptoms that's in my book. Like, you're not the book, right? So now what do I do? And I don't know if you agree with me, but a lot of calls are all gray, right? It's trying to figure out what is the most important thing, then what do we do secondary, and then trying to figure out, did we make the right decision, right? And if we didn't, plan B, and then you work on that, right? So today, this is what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about understanding the importance of seeing size up. How many times do you go into a call, and I'm the first to admit it, where I work, I do 20 calls in 24 hours. It's a very, very busy station where I'm at. And it's very easy sometimes to just go into that call thinking you already know what's going on, right? Like it's the 100th abdominal pain call you've had. I know exactly this lady. I know what's going to happen. It's the same frequent flyer having chest pain, right? That sort of thing. But that can get us in trouble, can't it? We don't go in with an open mind. We're going to talk about the importance of thinking outside that box, avoiding tunnel vision, and just that basic going in with an open mind, right? And then we're going to talk about what to do. Do we do trauma first? Do we do medical first? Is there a correct answer, right? Or is it that gray area? And we just go with how the patient presents and what we think is the best thing to do to get that best patient outcome that we can. All right, so let's start. This is the call I had. Now, who here remembers their very first call in the ambulance, whether it be a paramedic or an EMT student? You as a student. We've all had them, right? We've all had that very first call. So I am a paramedic student, and I'm at the fire station for the very first day for my very first ride time. And we get this call. All right, now I worked at Racine Fire Department in Wisconsin, 12 stations in the city. I was at station 2. What we had on the ambulance was 3 paramedics. Crazy. 3 paramedics on the ambulance. 3 paramedics on the fire truck. So you arrive to a call with how many paramedics? 6, right? It's late, I know, but 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 paramedics. How many paramedics do you need on a call? 1, 2, right? Depending on it. That's a lot of cooks in the kitchen, right? It's like 10 o'clock in the morning. The tones go off. My heart races because it's my first call, right, as a paramedic student. We get this 40-year-old male who fell from a ladder. Now, do we always get the information from dispatch? All of the information, the correct information. No, this is what we got. The crew, my preceptor goes, all right, Andrew, great. This is a good one for you. Let's go. Me, on the other hand, whew, right? So we're going. I now have 6 paramedics coming with me and myself. I'm slightly intimidated. Ambulance, first time I've been there in the ambulance, right? I'm still learning the equipment, that sort of thing. And I'm new. I don't know their routine. I don't know how they work, right? I don't know how my preceptor is going to be. We pull up. Now, I want you to picture like a subdivision, okay? We pull into this subdivision. We walk up to the house, and all the guys are behind me, just letting me go. I was the only female on. I walk up there, and they're like doing their like, oh, let's see how this goes. Bunch of cocky ass firefighters. We pull up to the house. I see a guy laying on the ground in the grass, okay? I walk up to the guy. There's a ladder that looked like it had been on the roof, right? It's laying in the grass. So we got the roof, we got the ladder. I get up closer to the guy. Now I'm trying to breathe. I'm like, okay, got to do my patient assessment, my scene size up, all this stuff. I walk up to the guy. He is laying on the ground. He's got pink lemonade all over his shirt. I'm like, pink lemonade. As I get closer, he's somewhat responsive, somewhat not, diaphoretic, sweaty, not really answering questions. The closer I get, he's got ice cubes on his chest. Then he has bark in his mouth. I'm like, I don't know what to do, right? So the family's standing there, this wife and some other dude that showed up, and I'm like, can someone explain to me what went on? Why are we here? I mean, I know why we're here, but what happened, right? So the lady goes, he's diabetic, very poorly controlled. The only way he knows his blood sugar is low is when he has a seizure. It's like 85 degrees out already this morning. He's been on the roof cleaning the gutters. So apparently, he had a seizure on the ladder because his blood sugar was low. He falls off the ladder. Ladder falls down. I'll tell you what we found with that. Then he has the seizure. The wife says, I heard you can die from swallowing your tongue. So I grabbed a piece of bark, jammed it in his mouth so he wouldn't die. And then we figured his blood sugar was low, so we're going to pour pink lemonade down his throat to give him some sugar. So you can imagine my very first paramedic call, right? I meanwhile have 6 paramedics just standing there like, right? What are you going to do? Nobody's helping me. Nobody's doing anything. And I'm like, okay. ABCs. We got bark. We got ice cubes. We got pink lemonade. We got sweaty. We got all sorts of stuff. Then I look at him and I see he's got an externally rotated hip. He's got an open tib fib fracture from falling off the ladder. Okay? Then, so we got trauma, mechanisms of injury. That was a fall, right? What caused the fall? The medical caused the fall. But then we got the trauma, and then we got the medical. So he's hypoglycemic. He's altered, right? Because now he's post-ictal. I don't know if he hit his head. I don't know if he hurt his neck. I don't know if we got any head trauma going. There's a lot of stuff that could be going on with this guy, right? We check his blood sugar, and it's 30. So I still have yet to get vitals on this guy because everybody's still standing there kind of being jerks. And they're like, let the student figure it out, and then we'll make fun of her later, right? Because they magically forgot they've ever been a paramedic student. You ever have preceptors like that, right? You're like, you used to be there. Like, you used to be where I'm at. Please have some grace, right? Be nice. Be education. So you walk in on this call, and you see trauma, and then you see medical. Where in the world do you start? What first thing do you do, right? You're kind of overwhelmed. Where do I start? So we started with A, right? Airway. He was breathing okay. right? And we also had this going on. Why was he tachycardic? Postictal and hypoglycemic. So we got two things going on. You get tachycardic from being hypoglycemic, having blood sugar. You also get tachycardic from having a seizure, right? So you got to kind of let that calm down, all right? Now, should I be worried about the heart rate? Not so much, right? So I'm like, okay, tachycardic, that could be a problem, but what's causing it? The blood sugar, the seizure. So I'm letting that slide at the moment, right? Because that we can fix that easy. It'll fix itself most likely, right? So he's altered. Will that altered mental status kind of fix itself? It's possible, right? He can kind of wake up from the seizure. We give him some sugar beyond the pink lemonade, right? So he should start waking up like that, right? So I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm not 100% because, again, that will start to kind of reverse itself and he should start waking up. If he doesn't, then we can start moving into why is he not doing that, right? Now, I'm talking like I was the smartest paramedic on the call. I wasn't, right? I'm still a student. This came after going through it and talking about it and trying to figure it out. I'm doing A, right? Airway. So, level of consciousness, we figured that out. Airway, is it patent? Is it open? Is he breathing on his own? Well, once we took the bark out, right? Once we cleared the ice cubes out of his mouth, he was breathing on his own. It was patent. He had good and equal chest rise. So I was like, okay, all right, we're good with that, okay? Was he breathing? Yes, we were good with that. I'm like, all right, I don't have to worry about his breathing right now, right? So we move on to C, the circulation. He had a strong pulse. It was very rapid, but it was regular. So, all right, don't really need to worry about that. We're doing okay. But again, in my head, I'm like, what do I fix first, right? I have an angulated hip and a broken tib fib. I don't know if he's got a head injury yet. I don't know about cervical injuries. I don't know about that stuff, right? So what do you start fixing first? Where do you start, right? So the first thing, what we talked about after this call, and it made a lot of sense to me. We always go with our initial set of vitals, right? Was the initial set of vitals for this guy something that I can start my baseline vitals on? Or was it just more of like an awareness of what I need to start working on? If that makes sense. So his blood sugar was low, it was 30. His heart rate was tachycardic, so that was high. I want to see how my patient trends as we go through the call. So what we did was we fixed the blood sugar first. That was a very quick, easy fix, right? So we fixed the blood sugar. We gave him glucose, all that stuff. He then woke up. So now I can start talking to him. Say, hey, what's going on? What do you remember? Are you hurting anywhere else besides all of this mess, right? So we woke him up. His blood sugar came up. He became less diaphoretic. His heart rate came down. He came out of that postictal-ish stuff right after a seizure. So now I'm like, okay, now I can breathe a little bit, right? Kind of fixed the big stuff initially. We got the blood sugar fixed. That created everything else that followed. It helped, all right? So as I was saying, should we be concerned about those baseline vitals? Or what vitals do you start looking at, right? So we fixed that. Then I started a whole new set of vitals. Like, okay, slate's clean. We fixed the blood sugar. Let's go from there. And then we went from there. So then, now what's the next thing we could maybe work on with this guy? His fractures, right? His hip, his leg. Now, was that fractured hip, the externally rotated hip, and the tib hip going to kill him immediately? No. But could the blood sugar kill him? Right? Could the altered mental status, if it came from something else, cause significant damage? Could the tachycardia, if it was caused from something else, create an issue, right? So we fixed what we thought was important first to rule out other stuff. And then we moved to the leg and the hip. And then we stabilized them, and we got them on the backboard and all that good stuff. So like I said, we fixed the glucose first, and then we moved on, All right. Now here is the big issue. Who here is a preceptor for students? Any of you guys? No? Not a one of you? Do you ever have the opportunity to precept students? Some of you? Have you ever been a student? All right. There was a few things I came out with from this call, right? One, it was crazy to begin with, being a paramedic student. It was just nuts. There was a lot going on. Trying to, in your head, figure out and eliminate and then line up different things and fix something, then look if that was it, and then figure out the negatives, the positives, all that stuff. While you're looking at a hip that's broken and a tib-fib fracture, and then this guy's like starts talking to you. He didn't complain of any head pain, he didn't complain of neck pain, but we still boarded and collared him and all that good stuff. It was a trick trying to board him on the backboard with a hip that was broke, and then his tib-fib fracture, and then having to figure out what pain meds to give him and things like that. Right? So there's a lot going on with this guy. Was it black and white? There was a lot of gray. We had medical, we had trauma. The other thing I came away with on this call was I should have, as a student, come out of this call learning something, right? I should have, in the back of the ambulance, had a preceptor trying to teach me, trying to guide me through the call, trying to show me, hey, one, this is the very first time you've been on this ambulance, right? This is the very first time you worked with all of us, let alone 6 paramedics. This is the first time you've had this, we as a group have actually had this kind of call where there's medical and trauma all mixed in it all together. And you're a student. As a student, do we know everything? As a paramedic, as an EMT, do we know everything now? No. Should we use calls as a learning experience for ourselves and for everybody around us, right? Do you ever have a really weird, interesting call? And you're going to, tomorrow, if you guys come to my thing, I'm going to talk about 4 different ones that were just bizarre and crazy. Do you ever go back to where you work and talk about it and try to educate the crew that's there? I drive my people I work with nuts because they'll come back from a call and go, what'd you have? Right? Well, that was weird. What'd you do? And they're like, well, I just did this. I'm like, okay, always learning is a good thing. I should have been on cloud 9 after that call. I was so freaking embarrassed and like mortified after that call because I got laughed at. Nobody helped me. And I felt like I was getting like judged the entire time, right? Instead of turning it into a very positive learning experience, I didn't want to come back the next shift, right? That's sad from a preceptor perspective. And as a student, you know, it's our responsibilities when we teach students, when we educate, when we come as speakers to talk to you guys and hang out. It's not our job to stand up here and act like we're the best paramedics on the planet. I'm smarter than you. I came all the way from Indiana to talk to you because I'm the smartest person out there. I'm not. I'm an EMS provider just like the rest of you guys, right? I'm just crazy enough to stand up in front, right? And go to Dutch Brothers in the afternoon. But the big thing I want you to take away from this is, was it a crazy, crazy critical call? No. Was it mixed with a lot of stuff? Yes. Was there things we had to work out? We had to really problem solve and think through. Yes. What do we fix first? How do we fix it? Did that fix the vital signs, right? I learned on that call that sometimes that very first set of vital signs isn't where you start your trending at, where you start your trending vitals. I wanted to fix what I could and see where that put us, and then start from there. Does that make sense? And then see my trends and see how they improve, see if they get worse, that sort of thing. Stabilize first and then go from there. But the biggest thing I came away with, like I told you, be that person who's there for that person. Be that preceptor, be that crew. Do you ever go on calls with a brand new EMT, a brand new paramedic, and you see they're struggling or they're just not confident, right? We've all been there. We go on calls yet where you walk in and go, oh boy. And then you're like, I got to look like I know what I'm doing, right? If we look like it, the people there might think we know what we're doing until you figure it out. Be that person to support that brand new crew member. Make that crew member want to come back to work with you and to be your partner and to keep learning. We're losing people in this career left and right, are we not? How do we keep them in this job? How do we keep ourselves in this job? And I'll talk about tomorrow with my mental health one. So this was a kind of crazy one, it was. But the biggest thing wasn't the call. The biggest thing was the response afterwards, the education afterwards. That was missed completely. The opportunity was there, but they didn't take it. Instead, they treated me like I was an idiot and I didn't know what I was doing, because that was a crazy call. It was a lot to think through as a student. So that's what I want you guys to come away with from that. Also, think about how you would have done it. What would you have done if you walked up and you see this guy laying on the ground with bark in his mouth and pink lemonade on his shirt, and then get told they jammed the bark in his mouth, right? That's not something you see all the time. That's not something you see every day. And if I were to go do that call now, would I do it differently? I might have, right? What? Huh? Yeah. One, educate. Don't stick bark in your mouth. But so that's what I came in with on this call. I hope you guys learned something real quick in 20 minutes, and I even got you out of here a few minutes early. So now, any questions? Mm-hmm.
But there was no we in that.
There was no we in that. Now, there was a me trying to figure it out and just trying to struggle with it, but yeah. Make your day positive. Make your day a learning experience. Every single shift you go on, right? That's our job. So thank you. Let's go have fun tonight. I'll see you tomorrow.